Right, howdy everyone. Let's get this started. So we are going to review the northern suburbs of Austin and this live stream series of Austinalysis. And let's hit the promo and get the show on the road. Hi everyone, my name is Yochanan. I'm a realtor in Austin, Texas, and a computer engineer. And what we're going to do today, we're going to review what's going on with the northern suburbs of Austin. I'm sorry for the cameras, I need to set to make my setup proper. Let's share my screen here. One moment. Austinalysis, that is the one. Okay. So, what did we see in April? So this update is for May, but let me remind you that in real estate, everything is kind of propagating slowly. So basically, I got all the closings of April, and I see some stuff into the future with May future. So anything that is kind of pending or under contract, we can review today. And let's see, before we start, just a short intro for those of you who are not familiar with me. My name is Yochanan. I'm a realtor and computer engineer. And I built a tool that basically downloads the entire database so we can kind of look at the data and see what it tells us. Because I see a lot of videos with like flames in the background and red arrows pointing downwards, and nobody really focus on the actual data. They're just trying to tell you whatever it is that they want to tell you. So this will focus solely on actual information that is that I got from MLS and other sources of data streams. And then at the end of the live stream, after I show the presentation, it will take me something like 5 to 10 minutes. Then we're going to go directly into my tool, and you can run any query that you want. So we can take a look at your property or properties, your house worth, the neighborhood, or anything of that nature. This is the subject, the area that we're going to look at today, and northern suburbs, I call it. So basically, Brushy Creek, Cedar Park, and South Leander. I didn't take entire Leander because this area here is very different from the area here. Let's take a quick look at this area and see what do we know about the north suburbs of Austin. So what you can see here is the downtown, Domain, the lake. And if we look at schools, and you see in green, like the top schools in Austin ranged in grades of 7 to 10. You can see that there is an abundance of great public schools within this north suburbs area. Average schools, we also have some, and bottom schools, not a lot, not in this area. And then if I'm looking at employers, I can see that like the tier 1 employers, the Amazons and Facebooks and Googles of the world. So we see a cluster here in the Domain. We see some cluster in downtown. And recently, we've started to see more and more employers that are going northbound. And we can see Applied Materials here. I think NVIDIA is here too. So let's take a look here. HP, Blizzard Entertainment, NVIDIA, they're starting to migrate north. So that's actually good for the northern suburbs. And if you're interested in these type of maps, you can reach out to me. Like this is part of the things that we do when we engage. Okay, market trends. What have we seen on the market? So the median sales price has been increasing. We've seen an increase of something like 6% in the median sales price, but we're going to see that it's mainly because of larger properties that were sold. So I don't think that the prices went up all that much, but we still see some type of an increase. The days on market have been reduced significantly. We're seeing 60% reduction. That is huge. So if we're looking at anything between like December, January, February, you see like 2 months on the market for properties, 60 days. And then we're seeing in March, 30 days on market. And in April, we see 13 days in market. And for the properties that are under contract right now in May, we're seeing about 12 days on market, meaning that properties are getting sold faster. Those that are saying that the market is super slow and it's a deep buyer's market, the tides are shifting right now, unfortunately, even though the interest rates are very high. Well, high comparing to months ago, but not high if we're looking at a larger time frame. What happens if we look at volume of sales? So what we're seeing here in the green is the total volume of sales, and in blue we see the amount of properties sold. You will see, by the way, throughout the presentation, green typically means something that's around money. Blue is about inventory, and I try to color code it to a degree. It's hard because there's a lot of data here. And what we're seeing is that there's a reduction in volume, but also reduction in sales, in total sales price, and they kind of cancel each other out. It is interesting because we did see an uptick in the median sales price. What I perceive from this, basically what I understand from here, is that March was the month that we got unclogged, kind of. If you look at January, February, the deep cold season when everything kind of went sideways, also with all the interest rates that were hiking, we see in March an uptick. We see that a lot of properties, like more properties, are being sold and for a larger volume. And then in April it balanced a bit, but then look at May, look at the amount of properties that are under contract in May. So it looks like in May we're going to see a lot more contracts. We'll have to wait for the next month update to see kind of where this takes us. What about the price difference? I think this is one of the most important slides in the deck for people that are actively looking for houses. So you see a house, you like this house, you want to engage, but what do I do? Some clients come to me and say, hey, let's submit 100 grand over asking. And sometimes it's going to work, especially if the property has been listed for like just crazy price, but oftentimes it won't. So we need to be realistic about it, and you don't want to just kill your position if you really like the place. We're seeing that the median close price is about 1% under list, about $4,500 less than asking. So, okay, I should explain what we're seeing here actually. In the light red, we're seeing what was the original price that the seller asked for, and then what it actually closed for. So we can see that in December, properties closed for 50 grand less than what the sellers originally asked for. In the deeper red, in the darker red, we see what was it closed compared to the final list price. So basically, the sellers listed the property for, very expensive price, and then they were like, oh, we can't really sell it, and they adjusted down, and eventually they sold it for 19 grand less than what they are asking for. Now, we look at the January, February, March, and April, and we're seeing that the closed price compared to the list price is relatively stable, about 2% under the final list price. Right now it's about 1% under the final list price. But what we're seeing is that the original list price compared to closed price is increasing. And I call it a delusional factor. Some sellers are just delusional. They don't understand the market, and they're like, oh, we're going to sell it for the prices of last year, like before the interest rate went so much higher. And they were a lot more delusional in November and December. But now in April, they're not that delusional. We're seeing a difference of like 1%. We're closing about 13 grand less than their original list price, and about 5 grand less than their final list price. So when you are engaging with a property, you want to assess the property, you want to see how delusional are they, you want to make sure that they are asking, what are they asking and what is the market value, and you want to beat the benchmark. So you want to get less than what you're seeing here in median. And I remind you that in real estate, it's per deal. It's always per deal. So if somebody is asking for way more than what the property is worth, you are not giving them just 5 grand less. You're giving them way less. But if somebody is asking for a fair market value, don't think you're going to come with 50 grand under and snag the property. You are most likely going to lose. One more thing, and then I'm going to pause for questions to see if there is anything. By the way, leave comments. If you have questions, I'm going to refer to all of them. And if you have things you want to run in my tool, leave them too. One more thing, and then I'm going to pause for a minute here. The close price per square feet. This is one of the most important indicators, if not the most important indicator. It is important to look at it from the perspective of what property are you referring to, because the close price per square feet of 1,400 100 square feet property is very different than the price per square feet of a 3,000 square feet property, and we're going to refer to it in a moment. But if we're looking at median prices, we can see that they are relatively close by. So in the light green, we're seeing the least price per square feet. In the darker green, we see the close price per square feet. And we're seeing that they are kind of running together. You can really see this. And they were getting a bit closer and then a bit farther, but it's within the margin of error. So we can see that the close price per square feet is pretty much the least price is kind of a lagging indicator of the close price. So if it goes up, we are presuming that it's going to go up next month too. And we're seeing that we have an increase of the least price per square feet. So I'm assuming we're going to see an increase close price per square feet on May. And if I'm just saying it in plain English, I think the prices are going to increase. And we're going to see prices that are increased in May. And we will wait and see what's going on in May and in June. But it's important to take a note and see, I think the market had bottomed out already around December, January. And now it's starting to heal and go back up after the increase of the interest rates. Pretty much the Fed increased the cost of capital, and now it's more expensive to buy houses and the prices dropped. We do see just a 1.5% increase in the close price per square feet, and I think it's negligible. Like it's not huge, but I do think that we're going to see more and more increases based on the indicators and based on what I understand from the market. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's going to increase, or do you think the market is just about to fall and crash? I would like to know. I'm going to review the sales data, but before that, I just want to jump into the comments and see if there's anything here. Do you see a difference in close price change for properties within the 400 to 500 range compared to 700 to 1 million? David, this is an amazing question, and I love it. And I would like to return to your question when we look at the tool, and I will literally run the query there, and you will see with your own eyes what the market tells us. So instead of answering with my voice, I would like to answer with data, because data is always king. So stick around, David, don't leave me. All right, any other questions before I move into what do we see with actual properties? Like what does your money get you in this area, and what type of properties are we seeing being sold? I'll take it as a no. Let's see what's selling in the area. So the price breakdown is pretty much what type of properties are being sold and at what prices. And we're seeing that about 40% of properties are sold between the $500 to $700,000 range. So that's where the majority of the properties fall. And then we're seeing 24% at the 400 to 500, and then the rest are either below 400 or above 700. So the vast majority is between the 400 to 700 range. If you're buying in the northern suburbs of Austin, that's the budget that you should have, like at the very least. If you have a budget of 300, it's going to be rough. And if you're aiming for a super luxury property of like 1.5, you don't have many of these. You have some, just not a lot. What do we get for our money, right? So we can see that here is the average price, and it's divided by square feet. So it's groups of square footage and the median price for it. So basically, if you're looking for something that is below 1,200 square feet, you're going to pay around 320. You don't have a lot of inventory like this. If you're looking for something like up to 1,800 square feet, you're going to pay around 400. Up to 26, you're going to pay around 500. Up to 3,500, you're going to pay around 700. And then from 3,500 square feet and above, you're going to pay around $1 million for a property in the northern suburbs of Austin. You can see the average close price per square feet. You can see it's a lot higher for these smaller properties. It makes sense. Typically, that is the graph. I think this is kind of interesting. You see like an uptick here at the end, and that's because these 3,500 square feet, these are the nicer properties. They are more luxurious. They have larger parcels of land. They might have pools. So that's why you see an uptick here in the close price per square feet. You're getting more features once you get into this size. What else? So we're looking at the properties sold, and we're trying to understand how many of them sold by the size. So around 40% of the properties are between 18 to 2,600 square feet, and about 30% of the properties are between 26 to 3,500 square feet, meaning that if you're buying something in this area, you are looking typically between 18 to 3,500 square feet of size. If you're looking for a small apartment, I don't know that this is the market. Maybe it is, but it's just you don't have as many of properties of this size. If you're looking for something huge, like a mansion, you don't have many properties of this caliber in these areas. Starter homes, these homes that are like 1,000 up to like 1,400 square feet, you don't have a lot of this. If you want this type of homes, you can look at Northern Leander, you can look at Georgetown, you can look at Pflugerville, East Round Rock, and we're going to cover them in other live streams. What are we getting with bedrooms? So typically, we are going to see properties that are either 3 to 4 bedrooms. Let me know in the comments whether this graph is actually important. I kind of think it's redundant compared to the square footage, but let me know if I need to show it to you. This is a graph that I like. Lot size. I really like land, and I always interested in seeing like what does the land give you. And I think this is kind of interesting here. You can see the grouping of these, like the groupings here are by acreage. So less than 0.15 acre, less than 0.22 acres, less than a third of an acre, less than an acre, and an acre plus. And you can see that an oversized lot, which means anywhere between like a third of an acre to an acre, is going to increase the price per square feet around $30. So it's not a huge price difference, but it accumulates, right? Multiply it by 2,500 and see what it gets you. If you're getting acreage, it's going to cost you. Those are significantly more expensive. And I do want to point something, like maybe stating the obvious, that 1+ acres can be like even 10. You don't have many of this. You have like a very small amount. You can see, by the way, the amount of properties that have like large acreage, like more than an acre, like 7 properties in March, 3 properties in April, 13 in May. You don't have many of these, but they're selling for a lot more. Acreage in this region costs money, and it's not cheap. So if you're looking for a couple of acres or more in this area, be prepared to pay for it. Pools. That is, one of the features that people really, really love in Austin, and for a good reason. Pools are awesome, especially in the summer. So the pools here, we can see that the price difference is about 20% close price per square feet, and the average day of the market, you don't have it on the graph, is about 50% less. So they sell way, way faster. The average price difference, you don't have it here too, but it's like $0. Pretty much like properties with pool average, like they don't sell for under list price. They will sell at more than list price sometimes. They will sell, under some other times. But typically, they are more desirable, and it affects the engagement. So if you are looking for a property with a pool, adjust your expectations. Make sure that you understand how to engage. Don't miss out on a property that you love just because your expectations were not aligned. But of course, don't overpay. So, use a professional that understands what the market is telling you, what the property is really worth. 20 minutes into this stream and I'm still on the spreadsheet. Oh my God, nobody's here, right? I'm just with myself. This is so sad. Okay, I'm almost done. I promise, and then we'll go to the tool. So the year built, I want you to know like what type of properties are getting in the northern suburbs. And most of them are going to be in the 2000s, right? You can see most of them were built in the 2000s to 2020. You have some new builds. We can see like something like 70 under contract, 30 were closed in April. But most of them are between the 2000 to 2020. You don't have a lot of properties that were like super old. So don't worry about lead paint and those type of things. It's typically not the case here. Even the properties like before the 90s, you don't have many of. So most of them 2000s, and then some from the 1990s. All right. That is it for the North Suburbs, and I want to go into the tool. I just wanted to point out that we are going to do these live streams, and I'm going to circulate over the rest of the areas in Austin. There are several, and as you can see, there's a lot of data to share. I want to know, please, what should I remove from the live stream? You're going to basically create the itinerary, the itinerary, or basically the script. So let me know what is more interesting, what is less interesting, and I will present. I'm going to cover in the next live stream on Thursday the central Austin area. It's Allendale and Crestview. So join me if you want to. Then we're going to cover the hills, and then we'll go to Lakeway. As you can see, there's a bunch of properties here. Thank you for tuning into this, but we're not done yet. I'm going to jump into the tool, and I'm going to run David queries, and I just want to see if there are any other questions in the interim. Venkata, how are the rental trends in these areas, and is it a good time to get into an investment properties? Excellent question. So I did not cover any type of rental inquiries here. It's getting hard. Like if I'm doing this, the live stream will be probably like 40 minutes long. I am actively working on it to have a tool that presents it externally facing. The rentals that I have been seeing, so we manage we're maintaining something like 100 or 150 properties or something like that, and we've seen that the rental market is stable. So the rents this year did not increase by a large margin, especially I think because of the glooming recession. People are kind of sticking to good renters. I do not increase the rents for my renters, even though the taxes went up, but they're going to go down. So generally speaking, the rents are stable. They did not go up. They did not go down. I don't have a single property that we're charging less for, to the best of my recollection. We increased some of them, but not by a lot. If you are looking to cash flow, Austin wasn't a good market before, and it's not a good market right now. But if you're looking for appreciation potential, hey, the data, I just shared the data, and you can kind of see where it's at. I don't want to say if it's a good or a bad time because it's very it depends on your strategy. My personal opinion is that Austin's value proposition did not change just because the Fed increased the rates. So I think it's still a great area to invest in. I want to go into the tool, and I want to run a couple of, okay. I want to run a couple of queries here. So let's see what David asked me. Let's update here. So David asked a difference in close price change for properties between the 400 to 500 range compared to 700 to 1 million. So what I can do here, let me I can come here and basically do something of that nature. Let's see if I have the splice of this. I'm sorry, the tool is not super pretty, I know, but I have limited time to develop everything. And we are looking at the last 6 months. What is going on here? Oh, just properties with pool. This is not correct. I cannot run pools here. It's updating. And in a moment, we can see the price difference over time between the different price areas. I think that I have this already set up. So if I look at price groups, so this is size group, property sold. I'm just going to predict. So to David's question, if I want to look at properties sold by their price groups and see how they changed. So if I'm looking at properties and I have the price groups here, so this price, I'm just adding everything, so it takes me a moment. I should have prepared it from the get-go. Okay, so I'm looking at this thing, all the series, left axis, columns. Why is it not showing up? Here it is. Okay, no, but that's the amount that we have. So that's not what David is asking me. He asked about the actual price. So I don't have the median price per price group, but I can actually create it real quick. So basically, if I come here and I want to see what's the trend for these properties. So let's just take the price mean and say something like between 400 to 500. I'm going to take it in a minute here. It's slow because I'm abusing the spreadsheet. But we can see what's going on with these type of properties. It's kind of updating. And yes, it's going to be extremely slow because it does, it knows I'm in live stream, so it wants to embarrass me. And it's working relatively fine. It is embarrassing me. So we're seeing that the properties, what no data? Come on. I changed too many things all at once, and now it's kind of breaking. So we're going to see it in a minute, but I think I should prepare like this type of clusters from the get-go, and then it can be a lot faster. Basically, I'm running too much data on this spreadsheet, so it's heavy. It's not built for scale. Oh my God, so slow. Come on. North Austin, close, remove clutter. Yeah, everything is fine here. I do not know what happened, honestly. So, David, you managed to break me. Good job. I am not sure what happened, but something is not working for me right now. So I'm going to remove it. Price min, price max. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Basically, okay, now it works for everything, but it didn't filter it properly. I'll do one more run. I think that I just have something broken in my. Oh, I understand. It's not in thousand. That's why. Silly me. Okay, it's going to work now. I put 500 instead of $500,000. So basically, there are no properties that sold between $400 to $500. If any of you were wondering, I know that's it's probably a question a lot of us had. And that's why it broke. So yeah, it will update in a moment here, and then we can see like the difference between cheaper properties and more expensive properties. Now it just dies on me again. Well, that's a fun, good first live stream. Any other questions? I think only David. Here it is. Here are the data. Okay. So we can see here that the properties, they were selling for like something like median price of 400. I put like the maximum price of 500 grand. I didn't put a minimum price. We're seeing a median price point of something like 400, and then right now it's about 425. So if I'm doing like recalculation, about 6% increase between February to April. And we're seeing days on market reduced by 50%. So that's what we're seeing here. And then if I take it to the 500 to 700, like, no, you said 700 up to a mil. So let's do 1 million. And 700. It's still loading, but we're seeing right now, so we're seeing a median price point of about 800 reduced to 775. So it seems that the properties that are more expensive are seeing a decrease in price point compared to the properties that are more cheap. And it kind of makes sense because the cost of capital is so much more significant when you're taking a larger loan. So when you're taking, when you're buying $1 million property and you put 20% down, you're taking an 800 grand mortgage. An 800 grand mortgage compared to a 300 grand mortgage, the difference is very apparent. So David, this is a great question, and I'm sorry that I sucked at presenting it. It took me too long, and nobody's here other than you and me probably. But pretty much, we're seeing 800 to 775. So if I'm doing this, 775, 800. While we're seeing like something like a 6% increase before, here we're seeing actually like a 5% decrease in the median price. But we are seeing a reduced time to market, like days on market. So we're seeing the properties are being sold for, they're sold quicker, but they're being sold for a bit less. I think the price per square feet is something we want to look at. And look at this thing. This is super interesting, actually. So the price per square feet for these properties in April is lower than what we've seen in January and February. And these properties are not smaller. We can see the average square feet is kind of the same. So in January and February, we've seen properties sold for $245 to $260 price per square feet, dollars per square feet. But now we are actually seeing them selling for like $230 to $240. So that is very interesting. And we're seeing basically the higher end properties are earning more than the lower end property. So David, this was a great question, and thank you for asking that. Is there any other question, anything else I can show you, anything that you find interesting? All right, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for being with me on this video. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. This is the first time I'm doing this live stream, and there's some growing pains. Please, if you have anything that is interesting for you that you want to see next time, any type of new graphs, any other metrics, let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to encapsulate them and basically like put them in the next live streams. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. You have my contact information here. You can reach out to me through email or phone or through the social media. If you're looking to move into Austin or invest in Austin, feel more than welcome to reach out. That's what we do here. We're using data analytics, and we're trying to understand how to engage properly so people don't engage in the wrong price. A lot of people are just, when they're buying a place, they just submit an offer to think about it from purely emotional. And I think it's also important to apply some strategy and financial into the decision. So it's a part of the value proposition. Thank you so much. I'm hoping to see you on the next one. And see you then.